Well, good afternoon. We are live. If it's Tuesday, 12:30 Eastern, we are live with Tuesday's Tips with Michael. Wherever you're seeing this, you're watching this live right now. Thanks for checking us out. If you're watching this post session, thanks for checking us out. We are taking questions from our audience that I will answer in a future Tuesday's Tips segment. So if you have a question for me, something that's HR related or something training related, something leadership related or supervisory skill related, send me a message where you're seeing this. I'll collect those and probably sometime in the next month or so, we'll answer a few questions, few audience questions. So thank you for sending them in. So we're going on this kind of teamwork journey. And as I mentioned last week, we're going to do the 5 dysfunctions of the 5 behaviors highlighted in Patrick Lencioni's work in his book and the program that was been designed by Wiley, which we teach quite regularly in our practice here. Doing most of that work virtually, though I do have a couple of clients who want me to start delivering this in the classroom first part of the year, which would be great because this is a great program to deliver in the classroom. Not that it's tough virtually, but it's always good to see people kind of in the room and get really good feedback when we deliver this in the classroom. So last week we talked about trust and how important trust is in the first step of the process. Trust is the base. Trust is the foundation. Without trust, you really can't move to the other parts of the model because people just aren't trusting each other. And there's a lot of work that needs to get done in trust. And there are times I spend quite a bit of time in the first module because there are some serious issues that the team has been dealing with for a while that haven't been addressed. So we address those issues. We trip the Band-Aid off a little bit of those issues. People get to talk about those issues. As I mentioned, this program is a bit skill building, a bit group therapy. So people get to talk about those issues that they haven't been talking about in a while. We encourage people to leave the ego aside, to leave politics aside, and let's build this community of trust, which leads us to the second place, right? So once we've built trust, we can get to the second place, what we call healthy conflict, or dealing with that passionate debate of ideas. And I'm going to read you something. When there's trust, team members are able to engage in unfiltered, constructive debate of ideas. And that's what we're talking about. Unfiltered, passionate debate of ideas. Now, depending on where you are in the DISC model, which we learned in Module 1, the way you handle conflict is a little different than each other from both sides of the DISC model. They're what we call these healthy conflict behaviors, which we talk about in the program, but then there are these unhealthy conflict behaviors that people engage in, and we talk about those, and participants actually chat about when that happens and why it happens. But we want to stay away from those unhealthy behaviors to set up an environment and a culture that team members can come to team meetings and have this rub, actually passionately disagree on the direction of a project, a goal, or a particular client situation. Have that passionate debate of ideas in a trust environment. And so we can have those passionate debate of ideas up to a point before we reach what I call the bad place. We don't want to go to the bad place. Bad place is when conflict gets mean-spirited, it gets personal, it gets backstabbing, it happens after the meeting, all kinds of bad things that happen when bad conflict happens. We want to stay over here with the good conflict. We want to have this passionate debate of ideas, these disagreements, having everyone put their thoughts on the table. And there are teams I work with that get quite emotional at these situations, these conflict situations. And emotion is okay if handled correctly. If you're really feel strongly about something, don't be afraid to say it. Again, depending where you are in the DISC model, there are folks who are more expressive, if you will, and folks that are less expressive. And if you're leading a team like this, you really need to ensure that everyone gets an opportunity to share. A couple of teams I work with right now, they're very DI, they're very top of the circle heavy. They tend to dominate the conversation. My role as a facilitator in those situations is to make sure those on the bottom of the circle, those S's and C's, also have an opportunity to participate, also have the opportunity to share their passion. Now, their passion may not be as outgoing as others in the DISC model, but they feel strongly about what they're presenting to the group and their ideas and suggestions moving forward. So I find that meetings are more productive when you have this kind of passion. When the leader sits in front of the meeting and says, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and life goes on, everyone leaves the meeting and go, oh, we could have done that, or we could have done that, we're going to do that. Not engaging in this healthy debate, this healthy conflict of ideas, right? The best ideas come out in 2 areas. Best ideas come out from passionate people who aren't afraid of sharing that passion and those ideas. And two, sometimes it comes from the back of the brain of the person who hasn't given up, it hasn't had an opportunity to share what they really want to share with the group. So make sure everyone has an opportunity to share. Make sure everyone brings that passion. Because the next step in this process is commitment, which we're going to talk about next week. And you can't have commitment until everyone has an opportunity to weigh in and share their passion about something. Because once you have all the ideas on the table and you're passionate about all those ideas, the team is going to make a decision on one of those ideas. And the goal next week is to get everyone to commit to that decision, even if it wasn't your idea. We're going to talk about that next Tuesday here live in the StreamYard studio in my home office and wherever you're seeing this live. Tuesday Tips with Michael. Make it a great week. Send me your questions. We want to do a Q&A session later on in the year. So send me your questions, HR, training, leadership. Happy to answer those for you. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Have healthy conflict. Healthy conflict. I'll see you next week. Bye.